Hello, everybody. Welcome to. Oh, wait, hold on. Wait till. Hello, everybody. All right, there we go with that one. All right, Rick. So, how's your weekend going?
Good, good, good. And yours?
All right, same old, same old. Um, if you want to, of course, share your you want to share your link, um, introduce yourself a little bit. Go ahead.
There is a link to my latest video, my short for remastering the Canadian Shield, page 24 of issue 1. And that actually gets it all done. Except for the cover and the inside back cover, that is actually all done. So, anyways, I'm Rick Piper of Cross Comics, and I do comic books on 5 days a week on my channel, and live, and then do other videos that are short. Most are, a couple aren't. So if you want to come by and check them out, there's a link to one of my shorts, one's under a minute long.
Hmm.
Come on out.
All right, looks like we're getting quite a few people. And as always, guys, if you haven't already, if you can like and share the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people in here. That'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here we talk about grabs your attention, feel free to comment and/or ask questions, and we'll try to answer the questions to the best of our ability. So with that, let's see.
Yes.
I still want to wait a few more minutes before uh, too much of anything because I want to see if RJ shows up so we can.
Hey, JR. How are you? And yes, everybody, come on and step up to the mic stand, because this is where you get your say. Right or wrong, who cares?
Yeah. Hail Lord Xenu and hail Princess Xena, only true comic book saviors. Long may they reign over us. Mm-hmm. Yep.
No, is that the Princess Xena, the warrior
Warrior
princess?
Princess. That is kind. That is kind of a interesting. Would be an interesting.
Trying to do the whole Xena thing.
Well, I remember when Seventh Heaven was on at around the same time back then, and of course, Mackenzie Rossman's character Ruthie was a big fan of Xena as well.
Yeah.
I also remember the scene where you had the two neighboring families who were kind of rivals of one another or whatever. In which I guess Ruthie and the little boy, it started with them and it ended up being the whole all five kids eventually going after each other all because the little boy made a big scene about Ruthie's underwear being shown or showing. Yes, the warrior princess. Well, wouldn't it be more like Hercules and Xena then? You know, Hill King
Well,
Hercules.
I don't know who Lord Xenu is.
Yeah.
I know who Xena, the warrior princess, is, but Xena, I know when he started coming around my thing, he was saying the Xenu, and I said about Xena, and he's added Xena since then. So,
Yeah.
or at least I'm pretty sure he has.
Yep.
I know. I think he explained Xenu once to me, but I forget.
Hmm.
I don't recognize him as a character from anything, so.
Hmm.
Zeno is the reason for the conditions of our existence. So
Hmm.
is he a character for something? A character that you made up, or character from some mythology that we might not know of?
Hmm. Yeah. So.
Because I'm not sure whether that answers a lot. He was the president of the Galactic Confederation. Okay, in which universe? TV series or whatever? Comic book series?
Is he based on an actual character? Okay, here's probably the best way to ask it, Rick. Is Xenu based on an actual character from a form of media, or is he an original character that you just made up, JR?
75 million years ago, he tried to introduce income taxes. Let me guess, it didn't go well then, but a few million years later, it got introduced by somebody else and went well.
Well, 75 years ago, 75 million years ago, I'd imagine people had no concept. People probably didn't even think or have too much of a concept of money, barter, or anything like that.
Well, maybe not on Earth, but some other planet.
Maybe, I guess.
Depending on whether you believe in life on other planets and all that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so. Yeah, I know. Now, normally we don't talk about too much in the mainstream, but one of the things that's been getting a lot of talk in the last few days here, last couple of weeks, is a country song that was put out by a guy named Jason Aldean. I don't
Oh,
know.
yeah. I heard about that. To put down the ensuing rebellion, he declared an overpopulation problem and demanded everyone come for tax audits.
Actually,
Okay, I think he's making this up as he goes along. I'm thinking Zeno is his made up character.
yeah. And now he's just adding more to the lore just as we get into that. So yeah, well,
Do you have a picture of Zeno, JR?
wait a ma.
Is there somewhere where we can see a picture of him during the audits? Billions were injected with glycol and planted on spaceships that look like DC-8s.
Hmm.
Okay, I'm not sure what DC-8s are, unless you just mean eights, the number 8.
Well, Ace is an 8 for all we know. Yeah, so well, I did have. Well, I still want to wait to see, because I've been going back over to like Facebook. I think Metal is on Facebook there.
Yeah.
So hopefully he'll be in. I have, I think, an article I might want to go over just in case RJ doesn't show up.
The spaceships were crashed near volcanoes on the planet Tigagak, our Earth.
All right. Look like he's making up his own character there. Let's see. And well, as I don't know if I mentioned this on the show here yet, but I did mention it to Rick before. Last couple of days here, I've been like binge watching Dark Side of the Ring, which is a documentary series on some of the controversial issues of professional wrestling. You know, things like Chris Benoit's last couple of years of his life, um, the assassination of Dino Bravo back in '93.
Nuclear bombs were blown up in volcanoes, killing billions of bodies. The souls are captured on Tiganak by an electrical field. Yeah, it's interesting the controversy over that song by the country singer.
Yeah. Well, because you have a lot of the SJWs, leftists, who are claiming it's like a pro lynching mob. You know,
Yeah.
based on my understanding, I haven't actually listened to the song myself, but
Oh, I have, and I've watched a few people's reactions to it, and they're all like, "What the freak is all the hype about? There's nothing wrong with this song." And not
I
that
think
this matters, but most of the people that have been watching, listen to it, are black people.
yeah. Well, and I think the general based on what I've heard about it and what I've and all that, I think what it is that what I think ultimately what Jason Aldean's saying is, how in the big cities where a lot of the riots and the BLM
Yeah,
and Antifa riots have been happening and stuff like
yeah. A
that.
lot of people run wild. Yeah, he's saying if you come to a
That would
small
not
town,
happen in a small town because the people there would not let it happen. If
yeah,
people
they
start
wouldn't
doing that,
stand
if
for it.
people start doing
It
that,
wouldn't be a lynching mob, but it would be sort of a mob to stop the people from, you know,
they would not be getting
causing
away with it.
ruckus.
They would not be run because they'd either get arrested or if they did fight back a little bit harder, as people were people would be making citizens arrests. They'd be getting their guns out. They'd be making citizens arrests, and if the rioters continued, they'd probably end up dead.
Yeah. Well, on Earth, the souls wandered, losing their memories of their unlimited godlike powers. When they die, their minds are wiped, and they are forced to watch movies, out of which Earth mythology is born.
Yeah, I actually looked over, a bit of an article talking about some people's reactions, and it was typical. You know,
Yeah,
the more conservative actors like Kevin Sorbo didn't have a problem with it. The more liberal actors, I mean, I think one of the videos I watched on it, from one of my subscriptions, Officer Tatum, talking about how the people on the View there were going off on it.
yeah, and none of them have probably even watched it, except for a little clip.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of funny because one of the points that Officer Tatum, there's this channel called The Officer Tatum that
Yeah, I know. I've listened to him. I listen to him every so often. So
yeah,
does my mom.
he pointed out that Sunny Hostin, who's I guess one of the she's kind of a mixed race. I guess she's half black, half white kind of woman there.
Yeah.
She's married to a white guy. She's got her kids in Harvard, and she's sitting here, trying to play up the race card or how life's so unfair, this, that, and everything. That aspect of it is just, this whole well, I've told you this before. I'm not a big fan of the whole victimhood mentality.
Oh, I don't think either of us are. I don't. Well, I don't even think Jr. would be a fan of that.
Yeah. Yeah, you
Now
will
that you
find
know the truth, Google operating Thetan level 3.
Yeah. So he's
There
been
you will.
Oh, you want to read it? Go ahead, read it.
There you will find the truth, including the clam implant and the man on the cross implant.
All right. Well, I guess RJ isn't gonna make it, at least for a while here. So because I don't see him coming in. So it's like 15
Yeah.
minutes in. So what I
Yeah.
will do, there is an article we can kind of go over, kind of a follow up. I don't even know if I talked to you a little bit about this on your show the other night or whatever. Um, Since I pull it up here, actually, you may have been. I don't know if this was. This is kind of more of a follow up because this is a story I've been kind of following.
Yeah.
It's about Yamato, the girl in One Piece that everybody, people, they're just denying even after,
Reality.
yeah,
The left loves to deny reality.
even after, even after Oda came out and said that she's a woman, you still have people, and and this article in Purdue it gets even crazier. So, anime YouTuber Rev says Desu receives false copyright strike from in small quote One Piece podcast co-host Steve Yurko after criticizing his attempt to push the debunked transgender Yamato theory. Article by Nerdigans published back on the 15th, a little over a week ago here. So, after getting blasted by fans for attempting to push the debunked theory that series heroine Yamato is transgender, One Piece podcast co-host and Rick and Morty storyboard artist Steve Yurko has resorted to abusing YouTube's copyright system in order to strike back at his critics. So Rick and Morty, I don't know if you heard about that story either, but one of their other creators got in trouble recently as well. Um, so as previously covered by Bounding into Comics, Yurko provoked outrage among fans when he shared an original illustration on Twitter depicting Yamato in a shared men's bath, a recreation of a scene from the series Wano arc, wherein the heroines well, I think it's supposed to say heroine, not heroines, chooses to bathe with the male characters instead of the female characters in order to better emulate her hero, Kozuki Oden, which activists regularly point to as evidence of her transgender identity, rejecting her, in small quotes here, smelly beaver card while Luffy cheers her on. All right, we talked a little bit about this.
Yeah, it's like just because a woman bathes with guys doesn't mean she thinks she's a guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, the reason for this call to, in small quotes, reject the beaver card, a collectible piece of merchandise bearing a character profile officially approved by series creator Ichiro Oda. So this is not once, but twice. He did it with the beaver card, by approving it, and then he more recently came out and outright said she was a female. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, from what I have read in earlier stories, of course, she was raised. Well, one, as I said here, is to emulate her hero Kozuki Oden. Okay, who I guess is a guy.
She's deluded, just not. She's deluded, just in a different way. She thinks she's a god.
Yeah,
She
she's
thinks
not.
she's
I don't even think she thinks she's a guy. But she was also raised by her because her father wanted a son.
Yeah.
So she was raised as a male, but that doesn't mean that she herself.
Although she still doesn't think she's male, although she thinks she's the. Well, she thinks she's reincarnated. Well, I don't know. I've never read the series, but
Yeah.
reincarnated Odin in a female's body.
Yeah. Approved by series creator Eiichiro Oda himself is the fact that it goes against online activists' personal headcanons by confirming that Yamato is an outright woman and not a transgender man. Now look at her right there. Look at her right there. Okay, that's
Yeah,
now
that's
to me
that's
that looks like
hello
a woman.
nice.
That to me looks like a woman right there. What about you, Rick?
Yeah, I said hello nice.
Taking you back to Animaniacs, I take it.
Yeah.
Let's see. Well, I guess Jr. Let's see. I'm amazed you have not heard of the twos of Xenu, Xenu.
Xenu.
Nanu, nanu. Nanu, nanu.
Well, I looked up Xenu, as he sort of said. It's part of Scientology.
Ah, okay. That probably explains it then. So, among the outraged was anime YouTuber Rev Says Desu, who shared his criticism of Yurko's piece in the form of a YouTube video titled "Imagine Wasting Your Talent Like This." Though Rev Says Desu's video was just one of the many to level critiques towards Yurko, seems it struck an undesired chord with Yurko as the podcast apparently responded to the YouTuber by filing a false copyright strike against his channel. So
Hey,
now you got
Apex.
these activists who are just so delusional that they try to shut down criticism by abusing the copyright system.
Yeah.
Of course, this is
Hey,
a practice we've been talking about for what, the last 2 or 3 years here?
yeah. And Apex Comics is in the chat.
Oh, Apex came in?
He's in the chat. He said he'd come on, but he's at work.
Okay.
And then says, "Hey, everyone."
Hey, Apex. We're going over a situation from One Piece. A story I've been covering the last, few weeks here. There's been a story going on. You have some online activists, some SJWs who, even though the creator of the character themselves has basically confirmed that this character is in fact a woman.
Some delusional fans that think they know more about a character than its creator.
Right. Right. So.
And they hate the fact that the creator's telling them they're wrong. And then when he tells them they're wrong, they go, where? No, we're white. We're white. We know we're white.
Yeah, you know.
You're just the creator. We're the fans. We know more.
It's kind of funny. They talk about these head cannons here. I guess if you want to call it canon instead of Canaan, but head canon here. You gotta wonder just how much these people's minds have been blown.
Yeah. Figuratively speaking.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if they got head cannons, I mean, you would think that maybe their minds would be blown more literally too.
Yeah, well, I think a cannon can be put to their head. And not done anything, not literally. Yeah. I am not calling for violence on these people whatsoever.
Right. No, I'm just saying that the head cannon being inside their head is liable to blow their brains out, not any kind of an external force.
Apex says, "Return of Steve Rude promoting Nexus on Kickstarter on Apex. After dark, 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, Saturday, 29th, July Saturday, July 29th, 2023, and gives a link.
Yep.
Awesome possum.
Yeah. I'm thinking of going. I've got a reunion down in Bolsa Chica State Beach next weekend, so I'll probably be gone for a good chunk of the day next Saturday. So, um, but you know,
Also, next Saturday is the launch of Melvin 3.
yeah, I would, and I. Too bad Tim's not here. He could probably promoted that.
Great narrative, Rick. And which I am inker on Melvin 3. There's a book you should get on Timothy Olson, Apex.
Yeah. Okay, so sharing a screenshot of the YouTube auto-generated email informing him of the strike, Rev says Desu informed the platform via his personal Twitter on June 11th that, in parentheses here, the At One Piece podcast and their co-host at Steve Yurko have filed a false copyright strike against my channel, unquote. Quote, in the video, I criticized their artwork that they posted publicly on Twitter, unquote. He explained, quote, the strike is a clear abuse of the copyright system. Now, as I understand it too, the part of the issue with the copyright strikes, right, is that as long as fair use has to be at play here, and part of fair use, of course.
Yeah. Well, that's assuming that he used part of the guy's video.
Huh?
That's assuming that he used part of the guy's video, right?
Yeah,
all he has to do is, all he has to do is say this guy on Twitter, is saying this or whatever, and he is completely wrong. I'm the creator. He's wrong. This is how it is.
Well, I mean, I think also though, if he used the video, he's critiquing it, then there shouldn't be any issue there.
This isn't about Hollyweird, Apex. This is about the Twitter dumb and a dumb fan that thinks he knows more than the creator.
Yeah, this is just to get you kind of caught up, Apex, on what we're talking about here. So this is going back to a story I've been covering the last few weeks about the One Piece manga. Okay, so there's a character in there named Yamato who basically, albeit aspects of the story have presented her as a guy, the creator himself, Eiichiro Oda, has not once but twice confirmed that she's actually female.
Mad Max at the Twitter Dome.
Yeah. So, basically, she was a half demon, half human girl who was raised by her father as a guy. She also, her hero is a I guess a samurai named Kozuki Odin, who she likes to emulate. So
I thought it was the Norse god Odin, but maybe I'm wrong.
No, his full name was Kozuki Odin.
Oh, okay.
Like Odin noodles.
Oh, okay.
But
my
and just so you know, Apex, I'll show you the picture that we're. All right. So
yeah, right there.
This is a picture of her, and a lot of the activists claim that since she decides to go bathe with the guys as opposed to the girls, she must be a transgendered male, even though it's clear here that she's female.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's what the whole gist is about. They're using this to try to make their claims that this is not, and this whole controversy sparked up like a month ago or so when they included her as part of a all-female art piece.
Apex says, "Great manga rack."
So
It's like, well, the thing is, in drawing, I gotta admit, in drawing, if you're gonna draw a trans female, the guy that thinks he's a woman, of course you're gonna draw boobs that look real. You can't really. I'm not sure how you draw them to look fake. I'm not sure how you could do that, honestly.
yeah,
I'm
and
sure there might be a way, but I can't think of it. So, but at the same time, if the owner, the creator says this character is female, you know, and just because a female goes, and I said it earlier, and I said it on my show, and I've said it otherwise, and I'll say it again, just because a woman bathes with a guy, goes and bathes with guys, doesn't mean she thinks she's a guy.
right,
It's just a girl that wants to bathe with guys for whatever reason.
right. I mean, and one of the things I point out too is I know somebody, and you do have women out there who actually have more guy friends and
Yeah.
like to hang out with guys more as if just hanging out with the guys than they do with girls. It doesn't
That,
mean that they identify as a guy.
yeah. And it seems this isn't really a bathtub. It seems like it's like a hot tub situation. And, like how
Well,
many
okay,
guys and girls get in hot tubs together?
Rick, how many slice of life type animes have you watched?
Oh, none. But I'm
Okay,
just saying
so
the look around.
let me educate you a little bit here. So there is a common episode in a lot of like more slice of life type episodes,
Yeah.
particularly in the harem type episodes or reverse harem episodes,
Yeah.
where they'll go because in Japan there's a lot of places, there's a lot of like hot
Yeah,
spring
they're
spots.
called bathhouses, but
Right.
you don't really bathe there. You just go sit in the water.
Yeah, and well, a lot of these baths as they call them are more like hot springs.
Yeah, which
It,
ends up
it'd be
being
li- it'd be like
similar to a hot tub.
I think it'd be like sitting in a spa or something like that. Like
Yeah,
a hot springs. You know,
yeah,
you know, and you sit in there and you just relax and stuff like that.
yeah. That's what a hot tub is. It's similar to a hot spring, but it's in a makeshift tub, if you will. I wouldn't even really call it a tub because that brings to more mind, something that you have in your bathroom or restroom, whatever you call it. That one person can fit in usually, one
Mhm.
adult. Where hot tubs, 4 or 5 people can fit in these, and if
Yeah,
they're bigger, that more can fit in.
yeah,
I've been in a swimming pool, like a community center that's had a hot tub, and or I guess you could call it a spa, but they called it a hot tub. And, like this was big enough that, 20 or 30 people or more could fit in it.
yeah. But in Japan, a lot of these bathhouses you hear about actually have what they call natural hot springs,
Yeah, yeah,
where you can go and relax. And a lot of these bathhouses, spas, what have you, will build their resort around the hot springs. You go.
yeah.
The
And I get
service
that.
vacation spots. You can go there. You can go there, relax. A lot of times, people will go bathe in the you know,
And
bathe
bathe is, of
in,
course,
in
a
the hot
very
spring, and then they
loose
go and
term.
they have milk. They have like milk and all that for you to drink afterwards. You can go
Yeah,
in your robe. You can go play ping
yeah.
pong or
And,
whatever.
and bathe, of course, is a very loose term because you don't really bathe. You just go, as you said, sit and relax, enjoy the hot water, you know, loosens
Yeah,
up your muscles and all that. So, it's
not
like,
bathe, at least in the way we think of bathing. You know.
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So
and they have those types of things here in, Canada too, and the States, I'm sure, you know. But, and there are some of them are called bathhouses when they're not bathing. It's just, they go and sit down and, like I said, water, hot water. I'd
Okay.
bathe with the manga girls at Apex. Harem,
Yeah.
scare 'em.
Yeah. I mean, I've had my fair share of fantasies like that too. That's kind of that's kind of one of the funny things about the harem animes too. It's like, we all have had that situation where we thought about what it might be like if we had like 3, 4, 5 women. For the guys, 3, 4, 5 women all at your beck and call to do whatever. For girls, having 3, 4, 5 guys at their beck and call, do whatever. So, anyways, we continue on here. So, quote here: "I'm allowed to criticize what you post publicly," which is true. The YouTuber further argued in defense of his video. Quote, "Horrible look from not only a fellow content creator, but an artist too." Unquote. Because it is a form of censorship. I mean, you're an artist trying to censor another artist, you're trying to because you don't like what he has to say about your artwork, what are you gonna do when somebody pulls that on you?
Yeah.
Quote.
Apex says Canadian Shield secretly owns 4 bathhouses in Toronto. No, that would be the Wiz or the McCall family. Since Larry McCall, who is the Wiz, his family's rich and well, he's like 12 or 13, something like that.
I tell you, those are like super rich people in Canada.
What, the McCalls?
Yeah.
It's a family I made up for my comics.
Oh, okay.
And they are rich in my comics. It's my character, the Wiz. That's his last name.
All right. So
McCall, MAC, capital CA. Well, not a capital A, but LL.
yeah, I get it. It's a Scottish name, so you got capital M, small c, and then capital CALL. Capital
Well,
C and then
capital
lowercase ALL, basically.
capital M, small a, small c, capital C, small
okay.
A, L.
Okay. Anyways, continuing on with the article here. Quote, "Also, to add on to this," unquote, he continued, quote, "there is an option to request a takedown of a video and not apply a strike. They went the extra step to add the strike. Petty behavior, I will fight it as far as I need to. Hopefully they do the smart thing and drop it." Unquote. So, providing an update on the situation just 40 minutes later, Rev Says Desu asserted, quote, "Hopefully some action is taken," unquote. Quote, "Since my tweet went public, both accounts involved have either blocked me or gone private," unquote. Which basically tells you they know they done wrong. The YouTuber further noted, quote, "They have also removed their contact info on their YouTube channel. It's very clear they know they abused the copyright system and are now hiding." Yet, in the end, Rev Says Desu won out, as a copyright strike was eventually removed by YouTube before the day was over. Quote, "Uncommon YouTube win," unquote, he announced of the decision. Quote, "YouTube intervened and declined their claim. The video is reinstated and the strike removed," unquote. Additionally, Rev Says Desu claimed that, quote, "In the process, I also learned the LLC they filed," in brackets, the claim under, I now know 100% that they didn't have the licensing rights to sell the unofficial One Piece merch. So this could get them into trouble. And with
Yeah. JR, no, they don't. Well, some of the older ones might have. Like I said, the youngest one, which is the hero, he's in high school or just before high school. So, but his dad or grandfather might have if it was around then. But probably not. They probably went to something more prestigious in Canada.
All right. So, anyways, we shall continue on here. Hold on, need to do something here real quick. There we go. All right. So, continuing on with the article here. Putting a final cap on the saga of the false copyright strike, Reb says Desu ultimately explained to his followers, quote, also keep in mind they have the ability to refile as expressed in the email. So if they keep going, they are ignoring the fact everyone knows they're abusing the copyright system. Hid behind blocks and privating of all of their accounts, all because they couldn't handle criticism.
Yeah. Well, if it, the thing is, if you, I know a little bit about this because I've gotten a copyright strike once or whatever, and stuff like that. Well, not a strike, but a takedown or whatever, or claim against my thing. But if they filed it in wrongdoing and they keep doing it, they can get their account suspended.
Hmm. Yeah.
So they may or may not continue to do it because YouTube reinstated. I think it would be a little different than
Well,
thing.
obviously, YouTube basically has agreed with Rev says Desi there. They denied the claim, and you would imagine that if they tried to refile the claim, YouTube might get a little little pissy about it. Go, dude, we already told you that you have no claim here. Stop, or we're just gonna axe your
Ban your
tail.
account.
Yeah. Quit. Yeah. Anyways, so yeah, we were. And anyways,
Let's see. JR says there is no high school more prestigious than Upper Canada College. It's the elite private high school in Canada, except for the upstart private high school in Niagara. Okay. I did not know that.
yeah. Well, anyways, so yeah, so like so the other night, R.J. Carden and I we went over. We first just did a kind of a like quick little recap of Magic Comics #5 from David McKay. Just went over some of the features, including of course Mandrake. We didn't actually have the comic to read. I just went over I just quickly went over the I just quickly went over the summary from Grand Comics database, and then we went on and he was only able to stay through about half the show because he had some stuff come up, but we read through Amazing Man.
Was it amazing?
It was pretty good, yeah. Amazing Man, Speed Centaur, in which they traveled through a cave and went back in time, to like medieval times. And then we also
a centaur in medieval times. How quaint.
we also read Dean Denton's Science Detective and the Arrow. So we got I read the last two myself, but
yeah.
So they were, as always, they were good stories.
JR, I haven't heard of any of those. Well, I've heard of Conrad Black, but besides him, I haven't heard those other two names before. Not saying they're not important. I just never heard of them.
Yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me that.
Rick, I need to step away from the camera for a moment. So why don't you talk to everybody while I'm gone?
Okie dokie, Smokey. So, hopefully, sometime this week, I'm going to be updating my website. Either that, or I think I might end up doing it next Saturday. Update my website, get the new cards on there. Um, hopefully, get uh, one and two and one Canadian Shield 2 on there, Snowdrift 1 on there, and I've been thinking about trying to get an 8-inch standee or doing metal cards. I'm not sure how much the metal cards are going to cost. I'm trying to find a place that has them cheap, decent, actually metal cards. I Because there's a couple places I looked online, but I haven't. I'm not sure whether they're metal cards or not. Uh, Westons are the richest family. They own Weston Food. Okay, well, I've heard of Weston Food always, obviously, and Loblaws. Oh, okay. I just didn't know George Weston would have been that Weston. Actually, I have a friend with the first name of. Is his first name Weston? Yeah. Tank Ferret. I think his first name is Weston. Weston something.
Oh yeah, I've seen Tank around on like your channel and a few other channels.
Yeah.
So second to the last weekend of July here, so we're well over halfway to the year here.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I'm just a little run down. I was hoping RJ would be here and we'd have some more people to help drive the conversation a little bit more. As you can probably tell, I'm maybe a little more run down than usual. So
yeah. Well, we'll see what you got. Maybe another article or two if you have it. And if we end early, we end early, right?
Yeah. It just depends on how early.
Well, we're coming up just under an hour right now. We're 10 minutes away from, 12 minutes away from the hour mark.
I mean, I still of course have the This Day in Each History to do.
Yeah. If we can get to an hour and a half, it would be good. For sure. You don't really want to end before the hour and a half, I would think, for this stream. But you got. But yeah, of course, you have the country, an article about the country song and them trying to cancel.
Well, no, I don't have an article on it. I just was talking about it.
Okay, well, of course, I actually listened to the song and myself a couple times, and I watched a couple people do their reaction on it. And not that this means anything, but well, I guess it does mean a little thing with them calling it a racist song and all that. I listened to.
Well, there have been some people who've gone. There are some people who've actually gone out of their way to say that it's a pro-lynching song.
Yeah,
that's how ridiculous they've gotten. They've gone out and called it like they say, oh, it's pro-lynching.
Yeah, but I watched a couple research Xeno for a bit. Xenu. But I watched.
Go ahead.
No, I'm just gonna say I watched a couple black commentators on it, and they're like, "What's all the fuss about? There's nothing racist about this song or whatever." It's just saying with all the crap that's went on, if you came to a small town, you wouldn't be able to get away with this.
Yeah, which is what I was saying at the very beginning there.
Yeah, so it's like this is not something to get all up in arms a bit about.
Yeah, and I think I have found another article that I did cover this past week that was kind of interesting too. Yeah, I'll pull it up here.
So, what's this about Kevin Smith premieres Mass Revolution? Is this the new season thing?
Yeah, this is the new season one, and I covered this article the other day as well. Kevin Smith rejects premise that, quote, and then small quote, Masters of the Universe Revelation performing poorly had anything to do with live action He-Man getting axed at Netflix. Yeah, I talked about this quite a bit too. I went over this article.
Well, I don't know about that one way or another, but it probably didn't help.
Revelation was not received very well, but
yeah, Revelation wasn't
okay.
received
So I
very
think
well.
the first season was called Revelation, and the second season is going to be called Revolution. That's what I understand it.
Yeah.
So,
but that other He-Man series, the CGI one, was very well received. Although it was completely different than the original He-Man and had very little in common, it was well more received than Kevin Smith's version.
Yeah. But anyway, so article by John F. Trent published back on the 20th there. So Masters of the Universe Revelation showrunner and creator Kevin Smith rejected theories and speculation that the animated Netflix show performing poorly with audiences affected the reported cancellation of a live-action He-Man film at the streamer. Yeah. Well, here's my take on all that, though.
I'm not sure whether I can say it did or didn't. I'm not too much in the know. Well, now, Kevin Smith may be a little bit more in the know, but I'm not sure whether I trust him or not.
Well, the thing is, though, is that the general thought is, well, if you're taking a beloved property and you're taking it with your, because I think Revelation was the one where they focused more on Teela. They turned Adam into a beta male. They were just pushing a whole bunch of stuff, woke stuff.
Well, but see, the thing is, and I'm not sure how much this would have had anything to do with it, of course, either, is we do have to remember the original live-action He-Man. That what I know. I almost hate to say this, and I'll probably get strung up by my toenails by some people, but I think that was worse than Kevin Smith's version.
Yeah. Oh, you're talking about the one with Dolph Lundgren as He-Man?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that there was a lot of criticism for that. Even back when it came out.
Because to me, that's less He-Man than even the CGI He-Man. Yeah. And of course, the only and as much as I don't really like the Kevin Smith He-Mans, there's also the New Adventures of He-Man, which again, I don't. I think, as much as I hate to say it, I think Kevin Smith's version is better than that. Although I don't really like Kevin Smith's version.
The New Adventure. Are you talking about the one that came out in '89?
Yeah, something like that. Where He-Man's a skinny ass dude. Actually, believe it or not, I have an action figure for that.
Yeah. Well, anyways, getting back to the article here, Smith's rejection of these theories and speculation comes after a report from Variety's Matt Donnelly that the live-action He-Man film that had moved to Netflix in 2022 was getting scrapped at the streamer. Donnelly posited the main reason for the film being scrapped was due to budget concerns, with him reporting, quote, insiders said that close to $30 million has already been spent on the development cost, and the cast has been shelled out to hold on to talent, like previously announced lead Kyle Allen and the film's heat-seeking directing duo Adam and Aaron Nee, unquote. Now, the thing is, it's understandable if there are budget concerns. Well, I could see why people might think that, because here's the thing.
Yeah.
Why would you want to spend a whole lot of money on a project?
That's going to fail.
Yeah. I mean, however, he noted that cost might have actually been double that, quote, other knowledgeable SP sources estimate all-in cost for development at twice that figure.
Yeah. See, here is He-Man from the New Adventures of He-Man.
What did you put up? Did you?
No, I'm showing. I've got an action figure right here.
Oh, all right. Well, let me unshare that. Let me. Yeah, that's from the 1989 He-Man, I believe.
Yeah.
The New Adventures.
It's called the New Adventures of He-Man. This does not look like He-Man.
Yeah, not in the same vein as the original Filmation version.
This might look a little closer to Dolph's.
Yeah, so.
Same with the Skeletor.
All right. Well, anyways, getting back to the article here. All right. So Donnelly would go on to detail that the budget for the planned film was coming in at over $200 million, but Netflix did not want to spend anything over $150 million. Later in his report, the writer detailed that sources informed him the film's producers tried to get the film made for $180 million, which would include the already significant development cost, such as the reported $30 million. That $30 million reportedly included the purchase of the rights to He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. Donnelly would definitively claim the reason the film was scrapped was due to these budget concerns, writing, quote, the latest implosion at Netflix, according to 5 individuals with knowledge of the project, was over budget concerns.
Okay.
Again,
well, I don't know how much it normally costs to get, the rights for something. And I can see Masters being a lot, but in some ways, but I can't. 30 million. I'm not sure whether that's small. To me, it seems a lot. Especially for a movie. Netflix has already got sort of the rights with the Kevin Smith one. I'm not sure how that works exactly. Of course, contracts and all that. But it's like, do you really need to, like, where'd that other 150 million go, or over 100 million go? It's like, okay, I know you need actors. You don't have to get the biggest name. Maybe you get one big name to maybe be He-Man, or one big name to be Skeletor, one of the two. But it's like the thing is, I guess you need some you probably need some CGI for Battle Cat. It's hard to say.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it could get expensive depending on props and that, for the different characters or costumes.
So, responding to this report, Twitter user Zombie Shoot speculated Kevin Smith's Masters of the Universe revelation might have also had something to do with the cancellation. The series has an atrocious 38% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes. It is, I guess, bad.
Yeah. Well, sorry.
It has a poor 5.5 rating on IMDb.
But as much as I hate to agree. Maybe I'm not sure whether I hate to or not, but agree with Kevin Smith. It might not be because of that, because they're giving him a second season.
Yeah, but here's how I respond to that, because he made that same point. Is that he got a second season. However, as we've talked about also with Velma before,
Yeah,
Velma,
I get it. Could be,
they could have contracted for multiple seasons, and therefore even if the first season tanked, they still are obligated second season.
yeah. Well,
That's what we're talking about with Velma. That's what a lot of people were theorizing with Velma too. Is that
yeah. Well,
she's
it
getting a
could.
second season, but it's not because it's popular, but because they had already contracted for that second
Yeah.
season.
Well, then begs the question: do they think it's going to cost them more to make the season and all that, or would it cost them less to break the contract, because that can be done too?
Anyway, Zombie Shoot tweeted, quote, "That's what happens when you go woke. Looking at you, Kevin Smith, you ruined He-Man." And yeah, the Revolution shows here, a lot of it is they really did a lot to it that really did get it to tank quite a bit, where a lot of the fans, it's basically like Kevin Smith is basically just flipping the bird at a lot of the older He-Man fans who grew up watching like the filmation version of the cartoon, and maybe even to a lesser degree some of the spin-offs came off after it, like the New Adventures of He-Man, like the He-Man and the Masters of the Universe series that came out in 2002 as well. But continuing on here, Smith responded, quote, "It says in Variety that the movie was too pricey for Netflix. But I'm sure some other studio will snatch it up. Meanwhile, our Master of the Universe Revolution animated series is almost complete." As I said, I think the first season was called Revelation. Now the second season is called Revolution. But that's my impression. He added, quote, "Bear McCreary is scoring episode 3 now, and we just mixed the first ep last week." So scoring, I guess, meaning putting in the sound of musical. Yeah. Smith would also respond to Twitter user the Random 58, who posited, quote, "Come on, bruh, let's be real. They're not willing to pay the money because your show failed so spectacularly that it killed any excitement for it," which is true. It's like, you see, they probably killed the movie because they feel, okay, if you're going to ruin this franchise like this, why would we want to? I'm guessing if Kevin Smith is involved with the live action, that is.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well,
the franchise here in the animated form. Now you want us to give you money to ruin it and cost us more money in live action form.
I could be wrong, but I could be wrong. But I don't think he's involved with the live action.
Yeah.
It's just the fact that, as the guy said, he ruined He-Man. Nobody, likes, or very few people like his version.
Anybody who basically thinks that, anybody who thinks, okay, Hollywood's involved in this, Hollywood sucks. I don't give, we don't give a flying flip about Hollywood. We don't like what Hollywood's done to our properties, so we're not going to go see it.
Yeah.
That's probably what you're going by there.
Yeah, they're thinking they're not going to be able to recoup their costs.
Right. Exactly.
Or make money. They want to recoup their costs minimum, but they'd rather make money.
Yeah. See, and Random says here, it's in quotes here, too pricey because they believe it'll flop. Honestly, it's shameful how you did He-Man. I still like your Green Arrow run though. Smith replied, quote, I read the Variety article twice and I wasn't mentioned once. Meanwhile, Masters of the Universe Revolution, the sequel series, debuts in a few months. We have a panel about it at San Diego Comic-Con tomorrow. So I think this past weekend, San Diego Comic-Con was going
Yeah.
on.
Actually, I want to look up if I can find any trailers from that weekend.
The Random 58 replied, quote, I'm aware that you weren't mentioned, but read between the lines. The only reason that Netflix isn't making it is because they don't think they can make the money back, which is true. Because
Yeah.
again, when you have some of these other now, granted, you talked about the one CGI one did fairly well, which is true, but this one really just tanked the franchise. It's one of those things where they went woke and they went broke, and people are not going to be wanting to
Yeah.
go to the movie
Yeah,
theater.
they're unsure whether people are going to go see the movie or not.
Because they believe
because they're
what
not
they
sure
believe
whether.
is they're going to get the same garbage they got in the Kevin Smith article. Because basically, Hollywood's all connected that way. It's like
Yeah.
People don't want to touch anything Hollywood does with a 10-foot stick. So let's see. Because they don't think they can. Okay, why don't they think they can? Could it be because a show of the same IP on their very own platform flopped? Smith retorted, quote, so by your logic, I guess Netflix figures they, in stars here, can make their money back on a second season of our animated series since they greenlit and paid for Masters of the Universe Revolution. And again, maybe I'm just reading between the lines.
Yeah.
In that, they might, depending upon how they got that second season, though. If, as I had pointed out earlier,
Yeah.
if they had
They.
contracted for multiple seasons beforehand, yes, they probably at the time did believe they were going to make the money. But
Yeah.
now after season one, and now that they probably, if they
Yeah.
felt they lost money, they're probably regretting that decision.
Yeah. Well, then there's a.
about that because they're already unless they want to break the contract and
Yeah.
then risk
Well,
getting sued.
Well, uh, there's ways to break the contract without getting sued for that stuff. They just have to pay so much out. Now,
You
again,
can buy out the contract. What you're saying?
yeah, sort of, yeah. Now the question is, is there the contract that is for the second that they had to get 2 seasons? That could be. It could not be. That's a big assumption.
Yeah, obviously we're speculating because we don't know the details of the contract. Just like we speculate with Velma, the reason she, despite the fact that, and everybody knows that Velma was a bomb. Everybody knows that it was a flop. It was a bomb, and yet they got a second season. Okay,
But then again, in some ways, unfortunately, with woke leftism, I don't think that sometimes the contract matters. Sometimes they give it to them just because it's woke. Because look at Batwoman. You know, it may have been contracted for the second season when they did it originally, but I know it wasn't contracted for the third season. Yet it did get 3 seasons. And it did worse I'm pretty sure, I could be wrong, it did worse in the second season than it even did in the first. Yet they still made a third season.
Yeah, you might. Well, what you're saying is there might have been some people there who decided greenlight it anyways because it was pushing certain agendas that they wanted pushed.
Yeah.
And that's another thing too. We're talking about. One of the other things that talking about how you have certain higher ups who like the idea of pushing those narratives because they think they can make more money off of it, but they can't. It's been proven that they can't, and yet we also know throughout no matter what medium you're talking about, whether it's movies, comics, or whatever, it seems like some of those artists involved don't care if they make money as long as they can push
Yeah.
the agenda.
Yeah.
That's all that matters to them. They could
To
be
them,
sitting
the
on the
agenda
streets in
matters.
rags, but as long as they can push the agenda, push their narrative,
Yeah.
you know.
And as much as you know, in some ways, a lot of people don't like it. I get it because you know, as a comic creator, I want my comics to be out there, right? And in some ways, I would like to make money, but you know, and Timothy said this also. He doesn't, and Chris, you know, yeah, they want to make money, but it's not all about the money at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's about getting their doing what they love and getting what they love out there.
Yeah.
You know, you know, and if you've got the money to do that, blow, you know. Although these people are more beholden to stockholders, you would think that actually do care.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's different. Like in the case of like you, Chris, and Timothy, you guys are independent comic creators. You don't necessarily answer to anybody. You
Yeah.
just you can put whatever you want in your comment and hope it sells, and usually it does because you guys are more in tune with what your fans want. Obviously,
Well, unfortunately, none of our comics are selling that great at the moment. But that's because we haven't got the audience, to people know who the hell we are, who the heaven we are. That's our problem. Our reach is very small. We need somebody big to give us a bigger reach.
right? But as I said,
Yeah.
a lot of these people who are more beholden to stockholders aren't gonna, when they realize, okay, we're not making money on this, we're pushing this agenda, and yet we're not making any money. So, what do we do now? But anyways, getting back to the article, and we are coming up on the 1.5 hour mark here. By the way, an hour 21 already. The
Oh
random.
no, it's 12, 9, 12. Well, an hour 12.
Hour 12. I thought it was. Oh, hour 12. Okay, yeah. The Random 58 fired back, quote, I don't know what the budget for the show is, but considering the number for the movie, it's probably a small fraction of that. So it's much more likely that they make money on that. Yes, it's also likely that if this one performs like the other two, or one whatever you all call it, it'll get axed. I think what he's saying there is if they think that the live action movie will perform like the first season did, it's liable to get asked because of the fact. Smith then revealed, quote, yes, both animated series cost millions, but not 200 million.
So basically, agreeing with this guy that the anime series doesn't cost nowhere near the same price as the movie.
The number Variety indicated was the bridge too far. He in parentheses here, jaw bridge too far for the movie division. Now we're on the same page. However, if Revolution does anywhere close to Revelation numbers, then we'll definitely get a season 3.
Well, I can tell you right now, if you that unless you got some woke not moron in charge, if he did anywhere close to the same numbers, it's not getting a third season, and it'll probably do way worse of numbers because although yes, I'll be an idiot that watches it. I don't think you'll have as many idiots watching it this time around.
Well, because if you
Idiots,
really put something out, if you put something out there that people soured on already, and you're gonna be basically putting the same, you're gonna be writing it the same way, putting in the same elements that you did on the first season, you're gonna probably have people upchucking in droves.
Yeah.
It's like, no, okay. Oh, this garbage again?
Yeah,
I don't know.
and of course, by
Up
idiots,
yours, Smith.
I don't mean that disparagingly, seeing as how I used it on myself, but but idiots, people aren't going to fall for it again.
Right.
Like
I
I'm
mean,
going into
yeah.
it
I mean, you might have got the initial bump because okay, let's do it.
nostalgia.
Like kind of like I did with my Adventures of Superman, right? Yeah, at least there's a party that at least wants to give it a chance to see if you will like it, and then once you realize what they're doing, it's like forget it. I'm not doing this. Right?
Yeah,
So it's like
it's like I ended up watching that whole new Shira thing, Princesses of Power. All the seasons. I got caught up in it. I just had to think, this is not Shira. This is not Shira, or something to that effect.
Smith also responded to another user who questioned whether the live action film getting axed affected Masters of the Universe Revolution. He said, quote, not at all. That project was part of the movie division. Masters of the Universe Revolution is part of the anime. So yeah, even though they are in but the thing is that it could have an effect if, as the one person put it, you have the same IP
Yeah,
that didn't do well on your streaming channel. Why would people want to invest in that same IP if they think it's gonna upchuck? They think it's gonna flop. You
yeah.
know,
And,
even
and,
even
and
if it's a different division, even if it's a live action movie as opposed to
yeah,
an animated. Well, you guys screwed up the animated series. Do we really want to watch what you guys do to a live action
yeah.
version? No.
And the thing Netflix being the streaming services is this stuff going to bring in more viewers to watch it, thus to make them the money that it costs to put it out? 200 million is a hell of a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
Even 150 million, which they were shooting for, is a lot of money. Is it going to bring in that enough people to watch it? It's not like it's going
To
to.
recoup their costs. To recoup the cost.
Yeah, it's not like it's going to a movie theater where it's a little easier to recoup that sort of cost. If you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm sure it. Maybe I'd be wrong. I'm sure that it might be able to get the 150, 200 million in theaters, especially domestic and overseas.
All right. So continuing on here. Let's see where we're. Oh yeah. Quote: I'm sure we'll wind up talking about it at the Masters of the Universe panel on Thursday afternoon, San Diego Comic Con. And I forgot again, didn't I? I'll be right back, Rick. I gotta take care of something real quick.
So, is anybody out there still watching? Have we bored you all to tears yet? I hope not. Let's see.
Yeah, I know my lethargy isn't helping much, and I didn't have a whole lot planned because I was hoping RJ would be here to help.
Yeah. Well, in these things, I think you need to plan like no one is going to be here, but plan like more people than you expect are going to show up. Because it seems to be some nights you get just me, and then some nights you get a lot of people.
Yeah, it varies. Would be nice to have people more regularly showing up, but hey, I know everybody's busy with their own things too. So,
Yeah,
but
I
anyway,
don't have a life.
getting back to the thing here. So, oh yeah, so we read that part on Thursday afternoon. But according to Variety, the big budget of the movie was the issue. He added. But I think the big but because if they didn't believe they could recoup the cost, then you know,
Yeah, and therein lies the question: is why did they not believe they could recoup the cost?
right.
You know,
We're gonna get into that right here. So it's unclear what kind of viewership Masters of the Universe Revelation received in its first two parts. The series did not chart on Netflix's top 10 chart for the week of July 19th to July 25th in 2021 when the first part debuted. The series had less than 13.7 million hours viewed in its first week, so not getting in the top 10 there. Um, it did not chart in the top 10 for the following week either. The least viewed show in the top 10 was The Good Doctor Season 2, which racked up 13.2 million hours. Series did not chart in the top two when Part 2 released on November 23rd, 2021. Interestingly, it was beat out by another animated series that week. Arcane Season 1 racked up 29.6 million hours viewed in its third week on the chart. Coming in at number 4 there.
yeah, and if we go up a bit, if you look at that chart where top 10, it says Dynasty Season 4. If this is supposed to be the top 10, that has 10.5 million views. So it didn't even get that hours viewed. It didn't even get over 10 million hours viewed. Season 2 or part 2.
Yeah, so Netflix looks like they may be getting into more trouble then. The series did not chart in its second week. It was beat by Arcane Season 1 again, which racked up another 18.1 million hours viewed in its fourth week. It was also beat by Jurassic World Camp Cretaceous Season 4. That series brought in 16.9 million hours viewed in its first week on the chart.
And again, here, Season 3, 12.4. So it didn't even get 12.4 million hours viewed.
What do you make of Kevin Smith's comment? I think it's cope. I think he's coping. His show isn't probably doing as well as he would like, and the fact that people are saying that his show may be indirectly responsible for why they ended up canceling the live action movie.
Go up again to the third of the first two of these charts. I want to check them out with the first two sets. Down, right there. Okay, so this is 13.7, the Virgin River. So it didn't even get that many hours viewed for part 1.
Yeah.
First week. And then this is 13.24 million hours viewed. So, it's not even, reaching that.
I mean, you always have to wonder with the way they're talking about it, did it even reach double digit thousands
or millions, double digit million.
Double digit million views. Did it really reach double digit million? Did it reach even 10 million views? You have to wonder that. I mean,
it's doubtful for part 2 because as we see, Dynasty Season 4 had 10.55 million hours viewed. So, unless it just got just over. And again, here's 12 for the U season 3.
So
Again,
you have to wonder in that view count if they even got
yeah,
10 million views,
yeah, for
during
part
any
2.
of its run.
Yeah, it might have for the first one. It could, because you do have like 3 million, approximately 3 million, just over 3 million to work with in hours viewed between that, whatever's under, between 13 and 10.
Mm-hmm.
But, when you only have 10 million views for something, the lowest thing on the top 10, and I doubt week 2 will do better than week 1. That's not usually the way these things work.
Right. Usually there's usually a spark at the beginning because people will want to at least try to check it out and see if it's something that interests them. But once they made that decision of whether or not it interests them, if you see a huge drop off, then you know that the show's in trouble.
Yeah. Most people were probably watching the first 1 or 2 episodes for part 1. I doubt anybody who got through part 1, you're losing a lot of those viewers that are going to watch part 2, because it was that bad.
Yeah. I mean,
unfortunately, they're, like I said, He-Man, the new the new Adventures of He-Man, and the live action, I think, are worse than that. But I know there'd be a lot of people disagree with me on that, and that's their prerogative.
Well, at least back then, though, the issues weren't really as much even, any kind of wokeness or anything. I think there were different issues back then.
Yeah.
Like, I don't remember even watching the new adventure. I think for me, it was more like the new Adventures of He-Man was just something just completely different from the original series.
Yeah.
But it wasn't anything like super woke or anything like that.
Yeah. It was just different. It didn't really feel like He-Man. Same with the movie, that. And I didn't know about
the movie though, but
I didn't know about either of them. I think took 20 years later. I own the one season or whatever of the new Adventures of He-Man. I bought it on DVD. I've watched the whole thing. I've seen the Masters of the Universe movie. I don't think I own it, but I wouldn't mind owning it just because of who I am. But it's I think it's Kevin Smith's He-Man may have been a factor. I don't think it was the only factor.
Yeah, well, I mean, the general budget concerns as well, but I think you could again. It could have been a contributing factor. It wasn't probably one of the bigger factors, but I think you could argue that it was a contributing factor because of the fact, again, if you've got a IP, an intellectual property that you're utilizing, you're trying to evoke interest in, right? And people aren't interested in it because of what you do to it, then that's going to affect any other projects involving that IP. It's like, even if it's a completely different, creative team, what have you, directing, what have you, people are going to be a little gun shy. Well, yeah, we just watched this show, this IP, and what we just watched, we thought was total crap. And now they want to bring a movie. Now it could be a totally different creative team. The premise they put it on would probably be maybe turns out to be a lot better, but people are going to be gun shy because it's like, no, we just watched somebody just turn our childhood into total crap, and we're not as really willing to go through that again.
I'm just trying to find out if I can the cost of Revelation. But
Yeah.
even on the Wikipedia page, it doesn't give
Yeah,
production.
I've always, even when I've done it because I know sometimes when I've talked about, with a historical comic retrospect, when I talk about like, how I don't, people have asked me if I can find any actual sales numbers. I can't. I don't know where to find the sales numbers. But when I talk about like how many, when we're talking about like the end of the years, and we're talking about how many books each company, the companies were producing and what that averages out to be and all that. My premise on that, and I even explained this the other night on, with RJ when we were talking, you know, obviously if a book only went 3 or 4 issues, probably wasn't selling. But if you have another book that, let's say, went 150, 200 issues, then that probably did sell. They kept the book running. That's a natural assumption right there.
Yeah.
Well, we are at an hour and a half now. I'm feeling a little run down. I want to run up to the grandson, so I think we'll finish a little early tonight. Things were a little bit dragging down a little bit. So what we're gonna do now, we're gonna look back at this weekend in Nietzsche history before we go. So this weekend, of course, July 22nd and 23rd, 2023. So let's go ahead and take a look back at this weekend in Nietzsche history. So first off, we're gonna go back to yesterday. Of course, we're gonna go back to 2013 yesterday. First off, on yesterday's date, 10 years ago, WWE held its Monday Night Raw event. Let me see. Held its Monday Night Raw event from the Frank Irwin Center in Austin, Texas. Main event saw Daniel Bryan defeat Ryback by DQ in 9:20. Prior to that, he defeated Antonio Cesario. Kind of funny because he and Cesario are now teammates and now part of the same faction in AEW as Bryan Danielson and Claudio Castagnoli. Daniel Bryan was in the final 3 event. He defeated Jack Swagger, then Antonio Cesario, and then Ryback. 3 straight victories right there. The night started off with Antonio Alberto Del Rio defeating Sheamus. So that's all. So that's pretty much what all went down 10 years ago. So now moving on, and also 2013 is just so nice. We're gonna hit it twice.
Ouch.
As on that same day, yesterday's date, 10 years ago, the OVA Ghost in the Shell Arrives from Production IG premiered its first episode on yesterday's date 10 years ago. So the Production IG produced Ghost in the Shell Arise as part of the Ghost in the Shell manga franchise, obviously. Premiered 10 years ago yesterday. So there we go with that.
Cool.
Hey, Shadowhawk.
Hey, Shadow.
Kind of winding down now. So
Yeah. Before you go into the next thing, well, I didn't exactly find the cost of the He-Man stuff, but I found this thing that said an animated series episode costs about 3.6 million, marketing not included. An average episode of The Simpsons would cost about 1.5. The cost of background music and voiceovers is not included in the price. So if you go with that 3.6 million, so that's 36 million for the Kevin says He-Man approximately. Maybe you want to go higher to 50 million at worst, and that might be way high. So it's recouping 50 million compared to 200 million or 150 million is a lot different.
Right. And shout out to Sorry, so late, guys. Busy night. Yeah, I get it. I know Sunday nights can be busy for some people. A lot of times people will want to do things more with their family and stuff like that. I get that. Mike, Rick, Apex Comic, Fembot coming soon.
Fembat.
Fembat. I mean, is that his comic, I guess?
Yeah, his character.
And the always amazing chat. All right. All right. So, anyways, getting ready to move on to now. We're going to head into today. First off, we're going to head back 90 years ago today. As on this date, 90 years ago today, Terry Toons would release the animated short Fanny and the Lion's Den.
That's a long time ago, Sonny. I wasn't quite alive then.
Brother was I, dude. Party time, excellent. It was black and white mono
What you
sound.
saying there, Sonny? Can't quite make you out.
Anyway, so the storyline goes: Oil Can Henry captures Fanny and throws her into a cellar full of barely caged lions. However, over the next few months, Fanny has befriended the lions and other animals, and when Harry checks up on her, is playing cards with them. She gets the animals to attack Harry and ultimately lock him into a room. Meanwhile, Strongheart's dog has located Fanny and brings Strongheart to the rescue. So, and I'm getting this out of a silent cartoon because they don't have any voice credits here. Obviously, this must have been a 5-minute silent cartoon. And now, getting to the last piece of niche history here for today. So on this date, 20 years ago today, the 200th issue of Archie's Digest magazine went on sale on this date back in 2003, 20 years ago today. Sold for $2.39 for 96 pages. The 200th issue of Archie's Digest magazine, which I believe started all the way back in 1972, according to. Let me just see if I can find the. Yeah, 1973 actually.
Oh, so. I was actually born there, Sonny.
Yep. I wasn't even born yet, dude. Party time, excellent. All right, well, with that, guys, I thank everybody for being here tonight. I know we're running a little shy on time, but that's fine. Once in a while, I guess it's okay. I just, even I've had kind of a lethargic day today for whatever reason, but it happens. But I hope everybody enjoyed the show tonight. And I hope to see everybody back here tomorrow. As of course, we'll be back here tomorrow with more niche news. Don't forget, we'll be back here Friday. Tim Olson will be my coach. We'll be looking at comics went on sale in November 1939 from November of 1939 from Fiction House, I believe.
Well, from a comic company in 1939.
Right.
Of November.
Yeah, I believe Planet Comics and Fight Comics, #1 each. So, anyway, so with that.
When planets fight.
Hey, all. Have a great night. All right, well, thanks everybody for being here, and we will see you tomorrow. Bye.
Just remember, it's a day away.